Here we are, out again on a Monday to see some wildlife. I don't plan on this being too long of a trip because it is a Monday, but we're out not at one of the places that was suggested, recommended, like the last few times we've come out. There's parking back here. Is this where I usually come to and park? I think it is. Yeah. This is where I've been. Last time I was here, I looked at a few other places and decided that I didn't want to try exploring a new place right now. We'll do that next time out. I'll go exploring a new place, but I thought, I haven't been to this place in a while. This state wildlife area here at the lake, and we're here. I got reminded of it when I was digging through the archive. I've been going back through all the photos I've ever taken of everything ever and identifying birds, re-identifying them with my knowledge now, and then I'm going to re-edit them, which is going to be a lofty goal because it's like 500 photos. But anyway, there was a point where I went back through and I went, oh, I remember this. I got some good shots here. They were pretty decent of like not the wildlife. Over Christmas, my Christmas vacation a year or two ago. And I remembered the experience doing that, and I remembered because all the trees were bare, there were tons of bird nests, and I took photos of the bird nests. That's what I remembered. I saw that and I was like, oh, I've been here a few times. I haven't been here to walk around and take pictures. I don't think since that first, since I came here during winter. I've been here a few times to do video, and we were here just 2 months ago. Had some great shots of birds doing the bird thing, the bird and the bee thing. And we did that. We saw the killdeer and we saw woodpeckers doing their bird and bee thing. I keep calling it that. Anyway, so I'm going to walk around and I'm going to see that, and I'll put the camera on my chest, and that's what we have today. If I see anything exciting, I'll be back to talk more about it. And if not, okay. Definitely saw some things. Not too many, but that's okay. What we saw was fine. Right when we got started, there was there's a tree, right as we're kind of walking along the water before we get into the tree line. And there's a kingbird, the western kingbird, pretty sure. Holding the camera and looking in the book is going to be a little difficult to do one-handed. Maybe I should set the camera down. Yeah, hold on. There. How about that? Okay. So, we'll just double check. Because now I've been going through, looking at everything, and I think that's actually been pretty helpful. Page 342. Western, oh no. The western is the one that's all gray. Eastern kingbird is the one that's black with white. Eastern kingbird is what we saw, but we had a rare opportunity to, when we saw it and we took some pictures, and I realized, and I kind of looked around and went, okay, the thing that every photographer says, and what I've read while trying to study this stuff over and over, what makes for more engaging, better photos, getting on eye level. Birds are really hard to get on eye level with unless they just happen to land on a branch at your eye level. But there was a hill right behind me where the trail kind of goes up and over it. And it goes high enough that I was able to get up to the top, and we were about on eye level with it. We had to be a little further apart, but I think it was, I hope that was good. I did a little further back, so the photo's not going to be as close as I want, which, boy, let me tell you, it all comes back to money. Of course it does. Everything always does. But I've got my eyes set on something right now. Currently, we're out there shooting with the 200 to 600 on the when I switched over to Sony a few years ago. I bought that because I could afford it. I want to say it was somewhere in the $2,000 range for a lens, maybe slightly less. I don't remember if I got it used or not.
Anyway, 200 to 600 with a 1.4 extender. I don't mind the extenders on the zoom lenses. I know some people don't like that. I was talking with that guy the other week who I met out there, the photographer, and he's got a really nice, but his is a fixed focal length. So I don't know if it was a 200 or a 400. I think that's, or 300. Those are usually the sizes that they come in. But the benefit there is they have much more wide open f-stops, right? They can go down to 2.8 or 4, which is really nice. And the one that I have, the zoom goes 6.3 to 8, I want to say. And then when you put the extender, you put even more on it. And so you lose that kind of bokeh background, blurred background behind the subject. But you can get closer with the stuff, so it's kind of a trade-off. It's hard to say, but anyway, what I got my eyes set on right now is a 400 to 800 millimeter from Sony. It's the same thing. It's basically almost the same thing I've got with the 2 to 6, but it's just 4 to 8. So you add that much more. And I could put a 2x extender on that and have 1600 at like f16. So it would only be useful for pretty much the moving shots, but boy, it would let me get really close on some stuff. Or I could put it on the tripod and I'd probably be able to get a better, I would love to have that. I mean, obviously I would love to have the bigger ones, like what we were just talking about with the an f2 or something, 2.8 on a 200 or 300 millimeter lens. That would be incredible, but those are like $10,000 to $12,000, and the 4 to 800 is more like $3.1 or $2,000. It's still a lot of money, but yeah, it's not going to be anytime soon. I'm thinking hopefully by the end of the year. We went on some camping trips recently, and that put me into a bit of, I had to pay for all that, and I didn't have the money up front. So that went onto a credit card, and I've been paying that off, and I'm working on it. It should be done in a few months for all the stuff that we need to do for the camping trip, and buying that battery was the biggest one, was that outdoor battery, which we will be using. We will be going on more camping trips. I just don't have any planned right now. I think I'm going to wait until fall, and then we'll see where the money lies as well. There was a bit of a, shall we say, a scare where the company I work for, because obviously I don't make enough money doing this to do this full time, but the company I work for basically laid off like 90% of the staff, and I was afraid I was going to lose my job, but it seems to be for the foreseeable future. I feel bad for everybody who did, but right now I'm kind of basically transitioning over to something else, and I hopefully, we'll see how long it lasts. It's still warning signs. It's not exactly perfect at company number 2, but we'll see, maybe another year. So it kind of woke me up and kind of, hey, get your house in order. Make sure that you're not about to get yourself into a real bad situation or have to find another job, which the one I have right now it works for this schedule where I just do 4 days and then I have 3 days, which gives me plenty of time to go out and see wildlife and edit and do the things. Like, ever since I switched that 4-day schedule, that's really where all this started and came from. Like, I used to go out and just take pictures, and then I'd write about it, and that was about all the time I had for. And also, I didn't consider doing anything because I didn't think it would be interesting to do video of this, literally this right here. But in order to keep up with what I'm doing right now, where I'm still going out and trying to do as much of this as I can, it requires me to have those days off in order to get, to get out, to see stuff, to do camping trips regularly, and to go and then edit on the next weekend. Camera, hello. I would like to see my photos. What are we doing? Hey, quit it. There was something. It was a small brown something. And I think, okay, if this is the same one, that's a wren. Okay. So anyway, I really hope to be able to get a newer... I tried for these chickadees for such a while, but I don't know if they actually came out at any point. Oh, those are pretty. Okay, on a tiny little screen, it works. We'll see what happens during the edit. Yeah, the little brown one was totally silent, which is not usual in the ones that I wind up seeing. They usually have some kind of call or something, so we'll see. We'll see if anything came out from that. I'll go through all those and edit them up and see what we got. But anyway, yeah, I'd love to swap. Basically, I already walk around with 2 cameras anyway, right? And I can just take the the lens that I have, which I use for the wide angle, like landscape shots, and just put that in a bag or, carry it some other way so I can just have that and I'll swap it. Because it's not like the landscape usually takes a second no matter what. Like, regardless of anything, it's very rarely like, ooh, gotta be quick. So I can take my time with that. That's something that, very rarely is this landscape is about to change. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes the sun is shining at the right angle, or, something's happening and you want to get the landscape right at that moment. But most of the time, 90% of the time, I could take the time to go, okay, I'm ready to do a landscape shot. Let me stop, swap lenses real quick, and then do that. So then I could carry the 200 to 600 on my other camera. So I've got something, it's perfectly fine. It's what I use for everything. I can do that for anything that's, medium range. And then for the really small birds, the 400 to 800 on this one, that would be nice. That would be very nice. So maybe by the end of the year, if everything can go according to plan and I can pay off what I need to and then put that stuff, the other part of that money situation is the contract work is done. That will not happen again. And that's what I've been using to kind of fund this stuff for quite a while. Anytime it's like, okay, I really want a new lens, or I want a new camera, or, I bought this one, I bought the last camera off of that, and any of this stuff here, anything that I've been doing has been because it's okay, I know I have contract work, either I just finished, or it's coming in, or it's going to be like, I've got money coming in outside of my usual amount, so I can put that towards this stuff. That will not be happening anymore. That part is shut down. So now it is just on me to be able to fund this out of my normal budget, of which there is not much. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what I can figure by the end of the year. Maybe it's possible, but who knows? We shall see. It requires budgetary planning and then sticking to it, which is tough. But yeah. Anyway, fun time. Good stuff. I think that was probably a wren. We'll find out. I'll put the pictures up. We definitely saw a jay for a minute. I thought that was cool. Oh, I was going to look up real quick. Let me see. There was a point where there were some bushes that interested me because they had berries and they were like basically untouched, and a lot of them. And that's unusual because, birds eat those kind of things. So I pulled up the identification on the app there, and it identified it as a choke cherry, which I am seeing on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is also called a bitterberry, Virginia bird cherry, western choke cherry. Are they? Aha! The stone of the fruit is poisonous. Choke cherry, including the foliage, is toxic to moose, cattle, goats, deer, and other animals with segmented stomachs. Okay. Especially if the leaves have wilted, such as after a frost or if branches have been broken. Wilting releases cyanide and makes the plant sweet. 4.5 to 9 kilograms, 10 to 20 pounds of foliage can be fatal, depending on the animal and depending on what's eating it. Okay, so, but not for birds. But they avoid it, clearly? I mean, those, maybe they just haven't moved to that. There have been other berries that they'd rather eat, because it doesn't seem like it's poisonous to anyone else. I don't think birds have segmented stomachs, as far as I know. I don't know where they put them. They have so few, so little space in their belly already. I mean, in their body, considering how light they have to be. So maybe not. It just happens to be interesting that they weren't... Many wildlife, including birds and game animals, eat the berries. Okay. So yeah, it just didn't seem to be... They weren't touching that one, but there were plenty of other things out there that they were eating. And there was a point where I saw a jay grab some kind of orange. It wasn't a berry because it was more like a nut, but it grabbed that and brought it up to a branch. I was trying my best to get a picture of it while it was going through, but it kept moving. And there was so much foliage, it was really hard. It's summer. That's kind of what happens, All the leaves are out, so it makes it a lot harder to get clear images of birds directly through when there's so much foliage. But I did my best, and there was a point where it landed and kind of smashed on something and then was digging out the insides of it. So I thought that was cool, and hopefully I got a picture during that process. We'll see. I'm going to get out of here. I am tired, and I'm going to go home, and I did not eat breakfast because it was so very early since the sun is still rising at like 5:45. That'll do it. Bye, everybody.